Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Fred Flintstone from the Fintstones. And he goes with his wife Wilma here, which I made in my last video. This is a moderate level project and I'll be making one arm and one leg with you as well as one button. I'm going to ask you to pause to do the remaining ones. We will have some extensions to do, some layering to do here. And I'm going to try on the face just to use doubled over singles, so you'll see when we're doing that. I'm hoping it'll make the face a little bit tighter, a little bit longer. As for materials, you're going to need some light orange bands, some light blue skin tone, tan skin tone. This is kind of optional. You can see it's actually kind of similar in color, but the idea is to show the 5 o'clock shadow beard tan on the face here. For the eyes, I'll be using 2 small pony beads, and the pupils are drawn on using a black Sharpie marker. You will want a pair of scissors just to cut off the little tuft of hair at the top, and we need some black bands, and I'm going to be using some little black beads for the buttons, but these can be made using black bands. So last couple of notes before we start, you'll want to have on hand a hook and holding hook, a couple of C-clips, your loom in the offset configuration as usual, and we are going to be using a lot of skin tones. Some of these are going to be in sets of 4 or 5. So if you're having a really hard time, or you don't care so much about the thickness, or you want to save some bands, you can always replace the sets of 4 with sets of 3 or 2 even. I think we're almost ready to start. Okay, so let's do our arms together first. I'm just going to make some more room on my hook here. And we're going to start with 3 skin tone bands, wrap them on the hook, twist 1, 2, 3 times. And we're going to put this onto 5 sets of 4 bands, all skin tone. So what we're going to do is take 4 bands together. If this is easier for you to do on the loom, you're welcome to do it that way. We put them on the end and push your wrapped band over. Wrapped bands. Make sure that you've got 4 through, which I didn't this time, so I'm going to try that again. Okay, all 4 bands. It's going to be a little bit tight. It should be a little easier next time. If you're having a really terrible time, you can always rewrap those first bands and wrap them 2 times only. Put the other end back. We're going to take another 4. Stretch them out, put them on the end of the hook, and slide over. Again, make sure you've got them all you need. Quite a bit of tension here. It's 2. This is our 3rd set with 4. And our 4th set. And we want 1 more set of 4 bands. The reason that I'm using so many is because we want our Fred Flintstone to have nice, thick, fatty, muscular arms. Does manual labor for a living. You get good biceps that way. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we're going to do just 1 more here. Okay, so now we've got a total of 6 groups of 4. And we're going to put this onto 2 orange bands, the color that you want for the shirt, and onto another 2 orange bands. This can go right onto your holding hook, and we'll put it aside, and once you've made your 2nd arm, you can come back and make the leg. For the leg, we have a single skin tone. We're going to wrap it 1, 2, 3 times. Take a single, double it over, put it on top of itself, bring that wrapped band over, replace. We're going to do this 2 more times. These are going to be his funny little toes. single band, wrap 1, 2, 3 times, pop it onto a doubled over single, and replace. Let's get one more toe on there. 1, 2, 3, double over and replace. If you're having a terrible time with this or you don't like the effect, you can always take maybe 3 or 4 bands and wrap them on the hook and use that in place of the toes. Now we are going to take these and put them onto 2 skin tone bands. Carefully slide them all on. Let's make sure we get all of the bands. You can tell you've got the right ones when it's sliding across easily. See here, it's kind of sticking here, so I know I've got one more to pull over. It's usually the one on the bottom. I'll put this back on the hook, slide it down a little bit, take 2 skin tone bands, and we're going to wrap them on the end 1, 2, 3 times. 2 if you find the 3 wraps is too hard. You're going to take the side of this first set that's closer to the end of the hook and pull it over the newly wrapped band so that they're in the middle. We're going to run this onto 2 more bands. Try and keep your bands in order as best you can. Put the other end on, even it out, take 2 bands, wrap them on the end of the hook. 1, 2, 3. Bring those into the center by pulling the first set over on one side. And this goes onto 2 skin tone bands. And for the thick little legs, we want to have 4 sets with 4 bands each to make up the legs. So take 4 bands. We're going to do what we did on the arm, put them on the end, run it through, put the other end back on. Just trying to untwist and even these out just a little bit as we go. Second set. Third set of 4, and we want one more set with 4 bands in it. And then I'm going to ask you to pause and complete your other leg, and when you're ready you can come on back. I'm afraid I'm going to be moving, here, we'll do our buttons next, and then I'll show you the next part on the loom. I'll be moving a little slower when we get to the loom stuff because we have lots of parts. I want to make sure I get them all for you and get them properly. So I'll be checking my notes here a lot, just in case. Now I'll just give you a second here. You will want to get a piece of dental floss or a thin wire or a needle and thread, because if you are using a bead, you're going to be threading it onto your orange bands. Now I'm going to show you this method with the beads first, and then I'll show you how you can do this using a black band or larger bead. So you put your floss through the black bead, through the orange band, pull the floss back over, and press it through the bead, but from the opposite direction. So it's come over, around, and back. And we just slide it till it's towards the center of that orange band. And I've made a total of 6 of these. If you count on the body, this is what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I will be showing you where to position them. If you want more, you can make more by all means. If you want none, make none. If you want fewer, make fewer. If you want to do it with the bands, you take your single black band, wrap it on the hook 1, 2, 3, 4 times, nice and tight, and slide it onto the orange band and just leave it in the middle. So same kind of deal. Now if you are using a bead that has a larger hole in it, you can always put it onto the hook, put your orange band on, slide it on top. So that's ready to go. We'll make our other extensions as we come to them. And we're going to start on the loom. Now we are going to make the head and the body together this time. Sometimes I do it in sections, but in this case we want our neck to be really snug, so we're going to make both pieces at once. We start with the hair. So 2 black bands, top center to top right, 2 black bands, top center to top left, and 2 black bands coming down once on each of our rows. Hold this up for you in just a second. Now we're going to come down the center with our skin tone 4 times using double bands and starting at the second peg down. I'm going to use the light skin tone for the first 2, and for the next 2 it's kind of going to be hiding underneath, so you can use the dark tan or the light skin tone. I'm going to use the tan because I've got a lot more of those. So we have a total of 4 sets of skin tone bands, and you can decide whether you want the bottom 2 sets to be light or dark. On the side, we're going to come down 3 times with double skin tone bands. I'm a little worried whether I'm going to have enough bands here. I think I'll use the dark tan just for my bottom set here on the side. Let's double check here. You know what? We can make all of our side ones the tan bands. That will be okay. Maybe just the top one on the right side. Okay, so top one on the right side and top one on the left side are going to be lighter skin tone, and the other 2 sets can be dark tan. It's probably a little bit cleaner that way too. I promise I'm not being indecisive. I'm just thinking of ways to make this better as we go, and yeah, we'll go with it. 2 tan skin tone bands coming from the 5th sides to the 6th center. And then let's start onto the body. 2 blue bands from the 6th center to the 6th side, and 2 blue bands from the 6th center to the 6th peg down on the opposite side. In the middle, we're going to use our orange bands. We're going to start at the 6th peg down, put 2 orange bands on top of those blue, and then we're going to have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of double orange bands. And that's in the middle here. So this will be coming down close to the bottom of the loom. We'll finish with 1 peg left on the bottom. And we're gonna get our arms on, our buttons on. We'll get everything into place here. So let's do some orange bands. On the left side, the side closest, I'm going to put down 1 orange band and 1 orange band with a black bead on it. The next set down is going to be 2 orange bands together, and then 1 orange with 1 orange that has a black bead on it, and we're going to have another 2 orange, and the next set is 1 orange and 1 band that has a black bead on it, and then we're going to have 2 more oranges. And on the opposite side, we start with 2 oranges at that 6th peg down, and then we're going to put down an orange and an orange with a black bead on top, and then 2 oranges again, and then an orange and an orange with a black bead, and I'm not forgetting the last one. We're going to come back and use that when we make our extension. And 2 more sets of orange down on the right side. So this is what we've got so far. We can put orange holding bands along the bottom section. So if you go to your 7th pegs down, you're going to take a single orange, stretch it across, and bring it up over the middle. And you've got a triangle holding band. We're going to do this again for the next 3 underneath. So 2 and 3, actually 1 more. So you'll have 5 of these all together. I think we will put our arms on next, and you want to try as best you can to angle them so that they're curving inwards. So you might find that you want to turn the arm around. Just got a piece came off here. Fix that quickly. You might want to turn your loom around. You might want to take the arm off the hook and then place it back, or see if I push this down it's going to curve outwards. So I'm actually going to grab it from underneath and slide it on that way. Okay, let's get our feet, our legs ready. We're going to take both the legs and 2 orange bands together and slide the legs onto those orange bands. Stretch it across the second peg up from the bottom on either side. So this is where you laid your last bands. And you want to separate the legs a little bit and take that band over the second peg up in the center. And let's make the little frill at the bottom of his long shirt. Okay, so for that, we're going to take a single band, wrap it on the hook nice and tight, 1, 2, 3 times, and put it onto a doubled over single. This is very similar to what we did for Wilma's, but we're making these a little bit tighter. We're going to do this again 2 more times. So a single, wrap 1, 2, 3 times, pull it onto a doubled over single, and let's make 1 more of those for now. Single, wrapped 1, 2, 3 times, pulled onto a doubled over single. Take all of these and put them onto 2 orange bands, or 1 if you're really trying to conserve bands, so will work just as well. Just want to support these, make it a little bit sturdier. We're going to bring this over the pegs that have the legs on them. So again, those second one's up from the bottom, and we want to separate these a little bit. This is a little bit tricky. We're going to try to get them apart, and then the middle one, you want to get inside on the middle one and take those bands up over the next peg. This might take a little bit of fiddling. Okay, and do the best you can with that, please. And we're going to make 2 little extension fluffs, frills for the side. So take single, wrap it 3 times, put it onto a doubled over single, put the other end on, and transfer to the second peg up from the top on the side. We're going to make 1 more for the other side, and I think that's almost everything we need for this shirt. Just a little extension to go on the side. I know this is kind of a big project here, but I'm trying to keep this as smooth and clear as I can. Okay, so that's that first step. Now we are going to do another layer on the left side. So take 2 orange bands, go to your 6th peg down where your arm is sitting, put 2 bands down. Go to the next one, put a single orange, and then put your last band with the bead on it. Put down 2 bands to the next peg, another set of 2, and 2 more sets of 2. So in total you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coming down the side. And we're going to put down another set of triangle bands. So just go over the bands that have the first triangle bands on them. We have 5 of them all together. Okay, body is just about done. Let's add the extensions for the cuffs. And just looking to see where I did that. We have a single blue wrapped onto the hook 1, 2, 3 times, pulled onto a doubled over blue, This goes onto the 6th peg down on top of the arm. So put the other end on and transfer the band, like so, and same for the other side. Flip it around, put it on the arm. Okay, we're done the body, and we don't have too much to do for the first part of the head, so this is good. Let's get our hair in order. So the top left extension, we're going to do something similar to what we did for the toes. Take a single, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times. This is black we're using. Put it onto a doubled over single. Repeat 2 more times. Wrapped band onto a doubled over single. If you want, you can leave it at 2. I'm going to do all 3 again. 2, 3. Now just before we attach this, we'll do the other part. And that is, you're going to reach in on the top left, put your hook through the bands that are going down diagonally, grab a single black, slide it up through, put the other end on, and pull one side over the other to create a slip knot. And you want to make this kind of tight because this is going to be the little tuft of hair that stands up. And you can slide this down as you need. Now we're going to take these 3, put them all onto a doubled over single together. Put the other end on and transfer it to the top left peg. And of course, if you want your thread to be facing the opposite direction, you can reverse everything that we do on the face, and the body can stay as it is. For the top right side, we're going to take a single, well, that's where I wrote it down. Okay, a single black band, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times, put it onto a doubled over single, pull that on, and this is going to be, well, you actually have to just pop off on the right side, the top side on the right side, and we're going to take this wrapped band on the doubled over thread and transfer it onto the double bands that are coming from the top to this top side peg. And if it's easier for you, you can always take those bands off all the way. I just hooked it on with them on the loom there. So we just slid it onto those top 2, and we'll put these other 2 blacks back. Last part for the hair will be for us to take, okay, what do we have here? Single band, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times and put it onto a single doubled over band, and then onto another single doubled over band, and this is going to sit on the top right side peg. So this is what we have for the hair. We've got that little single band tied on with a slip knot. We have those 3 bands which were wrapped and then pulled on to doubled over singles, and all put onto one doubled over single. You have a wrapped band on a doubled over single, slid onto the 2 bands going across here. Then you have a wrapped single onto one doubled over single, onto another doubled over single, onto the top right. So that's good for that. Let's do our face. I have to go forward here to see this a little better. Okay, so I'm going to put down 2 holding bands, tan skin tone bands, across the 4th pegs down and the 5th pegs down. If you want, what we're going to do, as I said, is make the face a little tighter. So my next 2 are going to be the light skin tone, and I'm going to double them each over before I place them on the next 2 sets here. I'm also going to give you another option or suggestion. Maybe we'll try this here as well. I was thinking, if we want this band here to be black for the eyebrow, what we can do is actually replace this band here with the doubled over black. So I can leave you a note about how it works, or maybe you'll just see it in my finished picture. But I thought we could try that and see if we get a nice eyebrow effect here. Now we do have to put our eyes on, so let's get those ready. Put your beads onto the hook. If you're using bands, wrap each one 3 times. And they're going to go onto this doubled over band actually. Or you can put them on a separate band if it's easier for you, but this should do. Now you can separate them and pull one up and over like we sometimes do, but we want the eyes to stay kind of close, so I'm just going to leave them as they are for now. Doing this, I've got my picture here on my phone. I keep closing this down by accident. So the next thing we've got to do is loop up the body so that we've got some room on the bottom of the loom. With that we can make an extension for the face. Okay, so let's come to the bottom of the loom, and we're going to start on the right side because it's the easiest here. Push back. I'll turn it sideways for a minute here. You want to get these 2 orange bands. They're coming from the peg above and coming down, and they're going to be sitting at the bottom of all the bands on that bottom side peg. So let's grab those and loop them forward. And we're going to loop forward. You don't have to do anything different with the bands that have the beads on them. Just push back your holding bands and loop forward. Push back the holding bands, grab the bottom 2, loop forward. Make sure you get 2 each time. And when you get to the arm, you can reach inside, find the bottom 2 blue, and loop those to the middle. I'm going to loop up the middle most of the way, then we'll do the right side. So reach under all the bands and find your bottom 2. You might want to turn your loom to the side to see it a little bit better, or pull the bands down a little bit. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and shake them a little bit loose here, stretch them out a little so that they're easier to grab. I feel like my bands here are a little bit overlapped. Is that the one? Yes. We're going to loop up 1, 2, 3, and 4 times and stop before you get to the blue there. Actually, on second thoughts, let's lift up that blue and loop up the center one more time. And then we'll put our blue back on. Okay, because we're going to have our tie in the middle anyway. Now the side, this is a little harder because you have 2 sets now coming from the peg above. And first we want this top set. So what I like to do is press down with my fingernail, pull to the side the ones that I'm trying to get, reach inside, grab them, and loop them forward. And it is going to be a little bit tight here. So push it down, make sure we've got the right ones here, pull it out to the side a little, just get those 2. Please take your time with this. You can always angle your loom to the side if you find that it helps. And you only want to get 2, so I can see sometimes I'm seeing a really thick piece coming up with 3 bands, and then I know that I don't have the right ones. One more for this part. And stop when you get up to the arm. We need to go back to the bottom, and before we loop up, what we're going to do is put your thumb on the top of the shirt here on the blue. So this is your 6th peg down. You're going to reach to the next set and pull these bands that you just looped over to the side. So you want to get like the top 2 that are over that holding band, and then the next 2 that are under it. And we're going to do this right to the bottom. Now that the top layer is pulled to the side, we can go back in on the right side and now loop up the bottom 2 orange bands. And we'll go right up to the arm here. A lot of tension on that one. There we go. If you're finding that your loom is really, really tight here, you can release some of the sections from lower down. You'll see it'll make it just, give you just a little more flexibility, but watch that you don't undo the sections that you haven't looped up yet. So just like I said, the bottom ones that are already done are okay. And I'm bringing those oranges over the blue, and we're going to reach inside and get the bottom two blue and bring them to the center. Now, like I said, we want the bottom section of the loom available, so I'm going to leave the pegs that have the blue on it and the pegs just below. I'm going to ease off the rest of them, just going down to the bottom. And that way we'll have this a little bit looser. You get to have a bit of a preview of how the body's going to look, and we'll have that space that we need to work on the bottom. Now, I think this technique is one that I got off of Looming by Cheryl. Did this with her Simpsons characters. I think that's where this was from. We're going to use, I just spilled a bunch of bands. We're going to use our tan bands and make a kind of an extension for the jaw, for the lower face. So let's count up 1, 2, 3, about 4 pegs from the bottom of the loom. And I'm going to come down twice with single tan bands on either side. And in the center, I'm going to start 1 peg below. So at the 3rd peg from the bottom of the loom, and I'll come down twice. Take 1 to the side and back. Take another from the other side to the center. And take a single, create a triangle over the 2nd pegs up on each row. And like counting from the bottom. And then 1 more. If you count it up to the 3rd one across, 3rd one up on either side, and down to the 2nd one up in the center, we're going to take a single band and cap off the bottom center 1, 2 or 3 times. 3 times. And let's loop it up. So reach under that cap band, get your top band, just a single, and bring it to the left side. Take your next one over to the right side. So much harder when all the bands are the same color, don't you find? And the last one is going to be looped up, and we'll loop up 1 more time in the middle. And 2 times on either side, bottom bands only. I guess there really is only 1 band there. Just before we take this off, let's start the first part on the face, what we're going to do. But there's a method to my madness. There is an order to this. We just want to have this ready so we can grab it right away. You're going to go to the 6th peg down, reach in under the blue, find the top 2 or the next 2 bands, which are skin tone, tan skin tone, and bring them over to the left side. Bring the next 2 over to the right side. They don't want to go, but they must. And we're going to loop up the last 2 up the center once and twice. Okay, now we go to that bottom extension. You're going to take your hook and you're going to put it top down through the top bands on the side, through the top ones in the center, and you can see I'm going to reach above the holding band, and then the top one's on the opposite side. And you can use your hook or just carefully pull it off. And let's see where this goes. Okay, we're going to go to the 3rd peg down and transfer the first 2 bands over the eyes. The next 2 are going to sit on the center just under the eyes. You can see I'm pressing this down a little as I go. I don't want it to pop. And the last 2 go on the 3rd peg down on the far side. So now we need to sort of stretch this down. I'm going to find that bottom cap and pull that downwards. I'm actually gonna separate it so that it's going to a couple of those bands to one side and a couple to the other. Now this looks kind of messy, but what you're gonna try and do is find sort of the chain down the side, transfer one band out of each section onto each of the two pegs below. So I'm looking at this side, I'm gonna stretch this over a little bit. I see there's a chain coming down the side. So I want to try to find one of the bottom bands from this set. This looks so messy, doesn't it? And one from the next set. Okay, and this is all gonna kind of even itself out once this is off. Now we've got that in place. We're going to put an extension on the side. So with your light skin tone band, you're going to take a single, wrap it twice onto your hook, and pull this onto 3 sets of double light skin tone bands. We're getting close, guys. Just hang in there, bear with me. We're doing really good. So 3 sets. And we're going to put this onto the second peg down. Stretch the bottom cap band to the 5th peg down and place that on top, and take one part out of each part of the chain, just one loop here, put it over the 3rd and the 4th peg on that side. Now for the nose, I don't seem to have enough skin tone bands, so we're gonna make just a smaller one this time. Originally I did use 3 bands, or 4 bands, 3 bands, and I wrapped them about 3 times. I'm going to use 2 this time and go 1, 2, 3 times. Maybe I'll do it twice, it'll be a little looser. This goes onto a doubled over single, and then you want to put it onto another doubled over single. Like I said, I just ran out of bands, so I'm going to leave it like this. Maybe I'll use a tan band, but these should all be the light skin tone band if you've got them. And you want to have, like I said, about 3 bands wrapped on the end there. We're going to put this onto the 4th peg down on the center, half of it onto there, and the other, so just to show you, we're going to separate, we're going to put these 2 on the 4th peg down in the middle, and the other 2 are going to go onto the 3rd peg down on the side in the direction that you want your nose to point. So I'm going to the right side here. Okay. Whew, I think we're ready to loom. We're ready to hook this thing up. I'm so excited. So let's go to the center, and you're going to go to the 4th peg down, reach through all the bands, and find your bottom 2 light skin tone, and bring them up onto the peg above, and loop up 2 more times to the top of the loom. On the right side, we want to get just those bottom 2. Push back the rest, get the bottom 2, loop them forward, and loop forward again until you reach the top of the loom. And just bottom 2 bands. And we want to reach inside, get the bottom 2 black bands, which are coming from the top center. We're going to loop those inwards. And right side, go to that 5th peg down and loop straight up to the top. Bottom 2 bands only, so you're pushing back the holding bands, you're pushing back the bands that are holding on the nose and the eyes, you're pushing back everything else and just getting your bottom 2. And I'm going to finish this off at the side, so I want to reach into the center. Oh, sorry, we'll finish it off on the right side. Get the bottom 2, bring them over to the right side, take a black band, and we're going to reach through the bands on the top right side, bring your black band up through them, use 2 if you want, take one side over the other to create a holding band, and you can put this on a hook, on a C-clip, or just keep it on your hand as we carefully remove this from the loom. We've got a lot of tension, so really, really be careful. And you can take the rest of the body off as well. You're going to see in a minute that the beads, the buttons, they're all sort of on the back or just popping through a little bit. We're going to be pressing those through, so don't worry if you can't see them right away. Okay. Alright, so you can see we've got a loose band here. The eyes are a little hard to see. We're going to roll those forward. I guess we didn't get our eyebrow there. It should have been the next one up. I'll make a note about that in the annotations. You can kind of press the hair, catch the hair under a couple of different bands here so that it's pointing the way you want it to. I don't think that helped. Let's put our holding band in the back, or securing band rather, and find a nearby band to pull it under. And you can put it onto a C-clip. And this piece here, the knotted band, you can slide that into place and use your scissors to trim it a little bit. Okay, press your eyes through and draw your pupils on. If you have a loose band like this one, what we do is we grab it from the back and pull it through and secure it onto a C-clip. Alright, our arms are looking good. We'll have to do our tie in just a minute, but first let's deal with those black pieces. What you basically want to do is find them on the back and press them under until they show up on the right side. And this can take just a little bit of work here, but they will come through. You just have to, like I said, kind of nudge them up. And you can use your hook to help. You might find that makes it easier for you. I have fingernails right now. They aren't ripped down or broken, so I'm taking advantage of them to help me move these into place. Help me with my art. See a couple at the side here. You can sort of feel for them on the back. Depending on the size of your beads and the tension in your bands, you might find this is a little easier or a little harder. We're almost done here. And you can again just keep adjusting them until they're positioned the way you want them to be. I think that's all of them. And let's do our tie. So for the blue tie, we actually have two things to do. First of all, we're gonna get these pieces to sit a little more snugly. This is optional. What I did on my original, I took a hook, put it through one band of the tie end, put a blue band through it, held on to that, and then I did the same for the other side. So I reached around to the other side, took that bit of blue band, put it through, and put both sides together. And that way this will sit really snug against the side of the neck. If you find it's flopping forward on yours a little bit, you can do that. As for the tie, we take a single band, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times. 2 bands if you want it to be thicker, of course. Pull that onto 2 bands. Take one side and pull it over the head. Position it where you want it here. And the other side, we're going to reach through the shirt, put our hook through the end of the tie, take a single blue, put it on, slide it through the tie, put the other end on, pull one side over and pull it to the back. And even as I say it, it's slipping off. Let's try that again. And that can go onto a C-clip as well. So I think that's everything. Just give everything a little tug and adjustment. You can angle things the way you want to a little bit better. And there is your Fred Flintstone. I thank you for watching. I encourage you to check out my tutorial for Wilma and my Jetsons characters. And I think that's it. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching, guys.